So you want to write a book? Well, do you now? But I don't have anybody to help me. Really? It costs too much. Everybody I spoke with talked about the enormous expense. Really? Listen, if you have it in your heart to write a book, stay till the end because I'm going to tell you how you can get connected to a group of emerging writers right here in West Central Florida. You can come in person and we will write, not just write, but from manuscript all the way to publication to promotion, we can do it together. So I want to tell you a story really quickly. I want to tell you about how I started. There you go. I want to make sure I got everything right. Let me tell you a story about how I wrote not one, not two, but 3 books. 2 of them were written within 90 days, literally within 90 days. I don't know how that happened. I don't think it was even planned, but I know one thing. I know that it's possible. And if I can do it, you can do it. So stay tuned and I'll tell you how to get connected with myself and other emerging writers who are really interested in not just thinking about their books, but writing their books. Not just writing their books, but publishing their book. Not just publishing, but promoting and doing book signing and just getting their books out in the community, first on Amazon, out in the community, and to the people group that would benefit most from their books. My name is Paulette Rolle-Alesnik, and on this channel, we talk about personal finances. First of all, that is how to make extra money, how to create and develop multiple streams of income, and how to increase your wealth. And one of my books is on that. I would love to help you, but this session is not about me. It's not about my book. It's about how you can get your books out of your head, into your heart, out of your heart, and onto these pages, baby. We're here to help you. It's dropping out. Card. That's the thank you card for those who purchased my book. Let me tell you the story. First of all, stay till the end. I'll tell you who, what, when, where we meet in person, and I'll connect the link in the bio below. So I'm going to tell you a story. It's going to probably make me sound ignorant, but one thing I know, I've learned to take action. I've learned to just move even when I'm afraid, even when I don't have all the information. I've just learned to move, and I hope that's a skill in this writing masterminds group, I should say. I hope it's a skill that I can help teach you. It's not hard, but I know sometimes fear is crippling. And people die with some great ideas, a legacy locked up in their heads, or sometimes it dropped to the heart and they talk about it, they share about it, but it never gets to the pages. And I want to tell you what I did. First, let me tell you about one of my mentor, Dr. Miles Monroe. So if you know me well enough, you already know I'm from the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Yes, I am. The colors are represented on my book, blue, gold, and black. The black would be me. Yeah, black. That's the color of our flags. So you know I'm from the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Moved to America at a very young adult age. But when I was in high school, I was first introduced by one of my schoolmates. Her name is Simone. I could see her face like today. She was one of those Christian teenagers, people that I avoided. Anyway, she would invite me to her church, and I went. I went to her church, and I'll tell you why. Because my family had a church. I would go to the family church, but not that I was truly interested in going to church. I went because my mama told me. My mama made me go. My daddy made me go. My auntie would drag me to church. Yes, I did. But didn't truly have interest in the message of church. But Simone invited me to church because I used to dance at R.M. Bailey, right? I was on the dance troupe. And when she told me they had a dance team at church, I was like, what? That's like dope. So I went. So I would go to this church pastored by the late, great Dr. Miles Monroe. And I got involved in just watching these beautiful young people have fun. They would rap, they would dance, they would just spin on their heads. They would do the things I wanted to do, but I thought you couldn't do it. So anyways, all that to say is that's how I met Dr. Miles Monroe, and I later met Dr. Ann Higgins, who was a dancer. And then I got to know Dr. Monroe much better through her. So fast forward and moving to Tampa as a young adult or late teens, Dr. Monroe would come to the church I now attended in Tampa. And he found out I was from the Bahamas. And every time he came, he would ask for me. And I don't know if he asked for the other Bahamians there, just a few, maybe a handful of us, but he would ask my pastor, where's my girl? Where's my girl? I would get pulled in the back and he would say to me, he says, listen, I don't want you to shame us. You came too far. You came all the way to America. You have great leaders. I want you, Paulette, to die empty. And I heard that from him so many times. In fact, my library has probably just over a dozen books by Dr. Monroe, because I would purchase every single thing he wrote. The man has incredible wisdom. And he always signed, die empty, my daughter, die empty, daughter of the kingdom, die empty, Paulette. So I got that. And when I first heard him share the story that the richest place in the world is a cemetery, it blew my mind. It opened my mind, and I had this aha moment. And when I first heard the story, there was no inkling in my mind to write books, not at all. But I got the gist of what my mentor was saying. Whatever is in you needs to come out before you die. And he said the richest place in the world is not the diamond mines of Africa, the oil fields of the Middle East, and wherever else there are wealthy places in the world, but the wealthiest place in the world was the cemetery. Why? Because all the books that should have been written is buried there. All the businesses that would have made people millionaire and take care of just copious amount of families are buried there. The dances for me, theatrics, all the plays and dances that we didn't get out or they didn't get out, it's buried there. All the sermons, so much is buried in the cemetery because the people, the stories that God gave us, the plays that he gave us, the sermons, businesses, whatever else you might need, when we don't give it to the world, when we don't serve the world the plate we're given by our Almighty God and we die with it, we do a disservice to the world, to our legacy, and it makes the cemetery, or as we say in the Bahamas, the graveyard, a very rich place. I share that story with you to say, if you have in your heart to write a book, don't you take it to your grave with you. You can join our emerging Writers Mastermind group starting right today is February 1st, I think, actually 2nd. So we're starting this week and we're going to go through May of this year. So February 2nd through the end of May, the end of April. So we're just going to go for 13 short weeks. But at the end of that time, we want you to have either your complete manuscript or at least your book uploaded on Amazon so people can buy it. And don't you take it to the cemetery with you. I don't mean to be morbid, but we all got to die, right? So I wanted to share that first. Now the story about how my first book, Dare to Dance with Him, came to be. There's a reflection here. So I was in real estate. That story is in this book. I was in real estate because I was trying to find a studio for dance. So my life is just all merged together. And I just happened to want to buy a huge building that I couldn't afford. If you want to read the story or you want to hear the story, call me, DM me, whatever. So in wanting to find a place for our dance studio, I went to purchase a a building. Duh, I didn't have the money for it. But I don't always think that way. I don't always think logically. I'm an artist. And anyways, that thought took me to a real estate seminar and actually a conference in Orlando with Robert Allen. And at that seminar, I don't recall if it's the first, second, or third one, but Mark Victor Hansen from Chicken Soup for the Soul said to me, this man does not know me. He said, there's a book in you, Paulette. Well, he kind of knew me just from that seminar or other seminars because I was a part of their mentoring group. He says, there's a book in you, Paulette. And I'm like, I literally looked behind me like, who, what, you talking to me? There's a book in you, he said. And I'm like, me? I don't even like to read. I write, but I just write private poems. He says, there's a book in you. You need to go and write it. And I looked at him and I thought to myself, I'm sure I wanted to say it to him, you got to be crazy. You're not talking to me. But when I went away, the Spirit of the Lord really witnessed to me that there is a book in you. Guess what? 90 days. I'm rounding it off because I really do not remember exactly, but I know it was within the 3 window. Like it just stayed with me as if it was yesterday. And I wrote this book over a decade ago, but 90 days later, this book was on the shelf. Now, the first experience I had was with, I had a professional publisher with Charisma Creation House by Charisma Magazine. Not sure if they're even around anymore, but the story goes like this. Somebody said it to me and I held on to it. I grabbed it, right? I just caught that. And within days, there was a huge seminar at our church. And at the time, my pastors had written a book and other people had written books. There was just like a huge seminar. And this company was there. And I simply went up to the table to ask about. Before then, I would have never asked about writing a book. Purchasing, yes. So I went up to the table and I asked about a book. And before you know it, they had taken me on as a client, and this book was here. I promise you, it was so great. Now, the first experience, I didn't learn so much because they told me what to do, when to do it, how to do it, to just walk me through stuff. And my pastor, my female pastor at the time, she held my hand. She'd written many, many, many bestsellers, and she held my hand. So I didn't learn a lot, but the cool thing is the book was out there. It was on Amazon. I was making a lot of money. Then I made Amazon bestseller book for the creative arts at the time. I didn't even know until I got a call. I'm like, what do you mean? That means my book was selling a lot. It was just selling like crazy. I'm like, oh, I'm so excited. I was just so excited that this book was selling and I didn't think about it. So now let's fast forward. A few years later, I wrote another collab with some other pastors, leaders. That book is Every Knee Shall Bow. I don't have a copy of that in my home. So I wrote that and I learned so much with just a collaborative effort, similar to a group like mine. It was not called Emerging Writers because one of the pastors led it, but she had a publishing company and she just held our hands and walked us through the process. I learned so much. And I thought my book writing days were over. Oh my God, my book writing days were over until the beginning of 2024. I said, I am going to write a book about my journey because after COVID, my life changed. I pivoted in my career and I realized some things. I was doing some things. I had multiple aha that had happened. I said, I'm going to write a book. So I put that on my heart. I wrote it down as part of my goal for that year. And then it was May. I had not written a single word, y'all, not a single word of that book, right? And I was starting to feel some kind of way, like, Paulette, don't disappoint yourself. You decide you want to write a book. You put it on your goals, resolution. I don't really do resolution, but that was one of my goals for 2024. And here it is, May. So anyways, spring break or around springtime, I took a vacation to multiple islands. We'd gone to like the beaches, St. Thomas, St. John, Puerto Rico. So I was on the beach and I said, I'm going to write this book. I'm going to write this book. I'm going to take my computer and go to the most beautiful beaches, in my opinion, in the world. I will start this book. So with the same computer that I'm talking to you on, I took it to the beach. I was in this house was so beautiful, overlooking Megan's Bay. If you're from St. Thomas, you would know it. So beautiful, like a gazillion-dollar view. Trying to write every morning, every evening, just watching, absorbing the beauty of God, nature, cricket, not a word, not a single word, y'all. Came back to America and even went to the Bahamas shortly after. And I'm like, oh man, I'm disappointed in myself because that was my goal. So you might feel that way. You might feel like you have promised yourself, or at least said to yourself, or wrote it on some type of goal that you will write a book. And you might have gone to the beaches or taken a break or send the kids away or just stayed up late at night, maybe at your kitchen table with coffee or tea and on a quiet day, and you said, I'm going to start. Maybe you got a page out, maybe a chapter or 2 or 3. Or maybe you were like me and it was really cricket. Like not even a single word. However, I did have chapter 1, my intro in my head, because I knew I wanted to talk about my dad. I knew I wanted to share about my parents and how they taught me what the world would consider how to hustle, but truly was the spirit of entrepreneurship that I saw demonstrated in both my mom and my dad. So I had that, and I knew I wanted to somehow make that a part of my book. It ended up being my intro. But you might feel this way. And if you do, I can tell you, I can relate. So join our group. We will be meeting every Wednesday we'll officially start at 5. I'm getting hot. But we're going to meet at 4:45 and just start the session with greeting and prayer and all that stuff every Wednesday until April 30th. And we are going to help you pull your book out. Why am I doing this? Oftentimes, people don't care what you do, but they care more why you do it. I am doing this because I had a group of people that helped me. This is the book I meant to write when I was on the beaches in the Caribbean. That is the book I meant to write. This is the one that would not come out of my head until I called a group of friends. Well, they weren't even all friends, just people who would, in passing, said to me, oh, I want to write a book. I'm trying to do the picture. I'm being silly. So people who said to me in passing, friends, colleagues, I want to write a book. Or maybe they were doing some type of podcast or blogging. So I reach out to them and go, hey, didn't you want to write a book? Didn't you tell me that one time you wanted to write a book? And 5 of us, it started with 7, and then it trickled down to 5. 5 of us sat in a room week after week after week, consistently. We did not miss a week. Downtown Lakeland. And because we sat together, and because of the seminars we purchased a couple of, collectively purchased a seminar, and we learned from the best of the best. We took courses on Readsy. We brought in people who had already written books. A lot of work went into it. Learn about ChatGPT and Amazon KPD and just so many things. Because of that, this book is on Amazon today. Not just that. Y'all know I'm the multiple streams of income queen. It's on the screen. So because of that, this book is now 90 Days of Work is a passive stream of income for me. I don't ever have to do another, write another thing. Well, promote it, yes, but I don't want you to think I'm promoting. I don't have to do another thing. The book will just sell. Money will just be in my account, period. but it is wise to promote, obviously, and do book signings. But that has now become for me another stream of income. So why am I doing this? I want to help those who have whispered in my ear, who have DM me. So many men and women have said, I want to write a book. I've been thinking of writing a book, or I have a book just handwritten somewhere and it stayed there. Well, join the Emerging Writers Mastermind group, and we will help you get that book from thought or manuscript to an actual book that you can upload, right? Publish, and we will help collectively. We will promote each other. So I hope that has helped you, because that's what this group is about. We're coming together and we will focus people. We're not coming together for anything else, not for coffee, not for tea, not for chit-chatting. Obviously, we want to be cordial to each other. We're not discussing a sermon of what happened yesterday, what happened in church. We're coming together to work hard to get our books written. We're coming together to check each other's work, to share resources. I will share with you the editor, my book cover master guide that I have. I'll share those with you, tell you who I used, the people who did the layout for me. All this will share for you at no cost to you. So check the link below, because that's where I'll put the information. Again, it's going to go February through the end of April this year. And we start at 5, officially start at 5, but 4:45 p.m. If you are watching this on a replay, and you might say, hey, it's mid-February or March, beginning of April, can I join? Yes, just like there's no beginning or ending wherever you are, because we have somebody who just joined the group today. She's already written books. She needs help with getting it out there, right? So from manuscript to publishing to promoting, that is the foundation, the core objective of this group. So I hope you can join us. Obviously, you have to be in the West Central Florida area, because that's where I live and all the other ladies live. I do have a few ladies, not just women, men too. This group is a unisex group. I have a few other people who live an hour or so away from me, and they have begged me to help them. And this truly is, I can't do it alone, because otherwise I'll have to charge people if I'm taking one-on-one calls. But in a group setting, just sharing that synergy of what God has given you and trying to help you get your story out, we can do that together, collectively, at no cost. So the information will be in the description below, and I hope to see you at the Emerging Writers Mastermind Group every Wednesday until the end of April. Bye now.